right, everybody. So our third main topic here today is still in the world of HBO Max and of DC, actually. So this is our three topics of DC movie news here. I guess you could say this is we could cut out this whole segment, just call it DC movie news of the week, essentially. But this was an interesting story, and I don't know, and I don't believe it was reported by like Deadline or what I would like Hollywood Reporter, which would things I would consider to be a highly reputable source, but I don't think this is really a like unreputable source by any means. But it was an interesting rumor. I just wanted to kind of talk about it briefly here, and that is that the Green Arrow is supposedly being rebooted to some extent and being included into the James Gunn Peacemaker, John Cena's Suicide Squad spin-off series that's being filmed at HBO Max. So it's also not only was it like three DC topics, it was three HBO Max topics too. So we are just marketing the hell out of HBO Max right now. So anyway, this topic though is kind of interesting because they say that it was going to be more of a more closely related to the comic rendition of Green Arrow, so just less, I guess, less dark. Unless somehow, I guess you could say that Stephen Amell's Green Arrow was darker than
Pretty
how he
dark.
was in the comics, but I don't know. It kind of like the Arrow show and the way Oliver was portrayed was real wavy. So like it was first couple seasons, I would say maybe it was a little bit of a darker take, but I mean, in the end, I feel like it really wasn't too different. He was less quippy. I'll give it that. Like a Green Arrow had notably been a little bit more quippier, I guess, but he was never really as quippy as like Flash or like Hal, kind of thing. So I don't know, but it's interesting if they're going to be including him in any capacity or not, because like I said, there hasn't been any confirmation, at least as far as I'm aware, from any reputable sources or from like HBO Max or James Gunn themselves. So take it with a grain of salt, but I find it interesting that they would bring him in, and it does kind of make sense that Green Arrow would be a good, you know, upstanding superhero to be in like the Peacemaker show. It makes sense because you wouldn't want like Superman would be a little bit overkill for Peacemaker, Wonder Woman a little bit overkill, Batman got better things to do than deal with Peacemaker.
Yeah.
So I guess Green Arrow definitely fits there. So the only thing that also kind of has me weary about it in some ways is that I know there was due to the pandemic and everything that's going on right now, obviously a lot of the CW shows had just kind of come to a halt in their production and everything. And there was I think it was when Steven was on Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum, he actually told him that he had recently spoken to Greg Berlanti, who was like the producer and everything of all the CW Arrowverse shows, and he said that he would essentially come back and shoot something as Oliver again if they needed him to, because he lives in Vancouver, like he lives where they shoot all these shows. So he was just kind of saying like, if you guys like need to put something on television, because right now since they shoot all this stuff in Canada, it's kind of hard to get people in the US into Canada and like actually get a show done with all the quarantining and everything that has to happen. So Steven was just, he said like, I'm here. If you guys need Oliver to come back, if we can make it work, I'll do something for you. So again, something that kind of in some ways, contradicts it is I don't know why they would bring a new Arrow in if somehow Arrow is still around in some ways on this, but at the same time, there's a cyborg in Doom Patrol and Doom Patrol. There is a cyborg in Doom Patrol, and there's a cyborg in Zack Snyder's Justice League, and same with there's Ezra Miller Flash. So, I mean, DC has definitely been a little bit more lax on having their TV heroes and their movie heroes. Like there's a Superman on CW, so I mean, definitely possible. Definitely possible. But what do you guys think of Green Arrow potentially being rebooted in some capacity on HBO Max and making an appearance in the Peacemaker series?
It surprises me that they're like rebooting it so quickly because it wasn't that long ago, was it? That was on the CW.
Yeah, it was just last year. I think.
Last year. Yeah.
So that's a pretty quick, really jumping the gun there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm shocked. I'm right there with you. I almost thought this was a joke when you first told me. I thought there's no way. I mean, not only did Arrow just end its run on the CW, but the Arrowverse, I mean, the entire name for those line of shows came from
Right.
Green Arrow and the Arrow. The Arrowverse is still going relatively strong. They did just announce that Black Lightning will be ending after this upcoming season. But as of now, you're just getting a new Superman show that's starting spinning out of it. Supergirl is ending after this season, but the Flash is still going. There are some other shows that might be in the works still coming from that. So the idea that they would relaunch Green Arrow is shocking. But then you're exactly right. Green Arrow is a character that works well within the universe of Peacemaker, or at least on the same level as Peacemaker. He's not too overpowered for him. He's also kind of a I'm trying to think of the right word. He's a vigilante character that is very much about standing up to the system, which Peacemaker kind of might be fighting against. So you can see where they kind of be on the same side, but coming at it from opposite directions, which could be some interesting conflict. Um, so that all makes perfect sense. And to be fair, the Arrow show made Green Arrow a more well-known household name. I mean, prior to the Arrow show, a lot of people might have a guess at who Green Arrow was, but he's definitely a lot more well known now because of that show. And so maybe it's a known character that they can fit into Peacemaker that isn't being utilized right now because the show is over. So,
You know what I was
and
just
like you,
thinking too, not to interrupt, because I just don't
no,
want
no, go
to. I
ahead.
don't want to forget this train of thought, because you were just saying that Arrow just ended like a year ago. See, the Supergirl's getting canceled or got canceled, and it's got one more season left. Black Lightning's getting canceled and everything, and just like with we were talking earlier with Disney and Warner wanting to focus more on their streaming services. What are the odds that you think that eventually here, like these DC shows are just going to be entirely, because I mean it's coming anyway. Flash is going to be the only one remaining at this point. I think, is Legends still going on, or they announced the last season for that
Legends,
too?
no, Legends is still going. So I mean, I think the three you've got that so far have a chance of sticking around past this season that haven't been announced as being ending are the Superman show, which hasn't even had its first season yet. That's debuting this year or this upcoming year. The Flash, and then Legends, and then there's a spin-off show out of Black Lightning that they're doing. So yeah, I might be jumping the gun here, but I think you're getting toward to the fact that maybe DC's trying to shuttle or shutter these stories so that they can start doing them on their streaming service.
'Cause, I mean, you kind of saw already with they did that with the DC streaming service.
Yeah,
Like they already, like, Doom Patrol was the first to officially move to HBO Max. Then Titans was just finally confirmed, but I mean, we knew it was going to happen because just they shut down the DC streaming service essentially. Well, converted it to just
sure.
comics, like we
Yeah.
were saying they would probably end up doing. So like they already were shifting their stuff over to HBO Max anyway. So I mean, I could just see with the CW stuff. In some ways too, I think the viewership is kind of dying with it all, and I don't know if like if Arrow leaving, if Stephen Amell's Arrow coming to an end had any effect on that. But I mean, I stopped watching these shows like 2 years ago, not because they were like bad or didn't like them anymore. Really, it was just kind of like, I don't know. It felt like more the same with a lot of them, in all honesty. So it's not like they were bad, but they didn't really keep me hooked. After like a couple seasons of it, like it just kind of got boring to some degree. But then I also had like just so much content out there that I had to
Sure.
make some cuts. And the CW shows, they didn't make the cut. All right, they just didn't make the
Yeah.
cut.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I could definitely see it being. I could just see DC wanting to focus more on, if they're utilizing HBO Max. I just could see them doing it with these kind of shows too. Like, because it's just, if
Yeah.
they're not bringing in the viewership numbers they used to, then I mean, what's the point? If they could move it all to HBO Max and then get some more subscribers out of it, I feel like that's a better way to go. Even if it means rebooting everything in some capacity. Like, I don't think if like Flash comes to an end that they're just gonna make a Flash series by any means. But you never know. I don't know. We see. I just, when you were saying all the shows were getting canceled, just made me think like, huh,
Yeah.
yeah, maybe it's
No,
possible. So,
I've definitely kept that in the back of my head that they are trying to consolidate everything into over to HBO Max. So
yeah. I
we'll
mean, it makes
see.
sense. And like,
Stargirl is the other show that just started this past season. It's still going
oh yeah,
on
but that
the
was
CW.
technically supposed to be a DC show. And which I
Sure.
thought was odd too that they didn't just go ahead and decide to put that on HBO Max. I guess if anything, that shows that I don't think probably not going to go on very long. It'll probably get canceled as well. 'Cause
Yeah.
if it was something they had more faith in my opinion, they'd move it to HBO Max like they
Yeah.
did Doom Patrol, like they did. Maybe it's just because the marketing's different and it would fit better as a CW show. Like I don't know, maybe. I mean, I could see that too, where it's just like this fits better here, but at the same time,
Yeah.
you want to get more subscribers. So like, I mean, I don't really actually find that as a viable option because I mean HBO has such a mix of content. They have a ton of different things on there. There's animated stuff, there's sitcoms. I mean everything's there. So Stargirl would have been fine there too. So I don't know. I feel like the rest of the shows on the CW for DC wise are pretty much all going to be pretty short lived. I'm actually kind of shocked now that I'm thinking about it that of all the places to pick up Lucifer, Netflix did, as opposed to like HBO.
Yeah.
Like I'm surprised to begin
That is
with when
weird.
Lucifer went on Fox for its original program. And I was like, why is this not just coming on, CW or DC or something, the DC app or something? But I was kind of shocked that the Lucifer didn't get picked up by HBO Max to keep going. Felt like it made a lot more sense, and they could do a little bit more on HBO Max. I feel like, but they can with Netflix now too. But
Yeah.
alas. I don't know, guys. So the question is, what do you guys think about this? I'm not suggesting by any means that one, this story is true, but by two, if it is true, I'm definitely not saying that they're going to be making a whole new Green Arrow series on HBO. I doubt that would be the case, but anything is possible. Again, these are unprecedented times, so you never know. And if if the show kicks off and they like, if there's a new Arrow on the Peacemaker show and everybody loves him, kind of just like Peacemaker in the Suicide Squad movie, it turned out to be really good, so they decided to give him his own show. It's definitely the realm of possibilities that there could be a new Green Arrow show eventually. So I don't know. Whatever you guys think about this story, you let us know down in the comments section below.